it's being talked about around here a lot. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's a clean house time. Maybe it is. Maybe it's time. And I like Coach Tomlin. I have a lot of respect for Coach Tomlin. But maybe it's best for him too.
Sure.
Maybe a fresh start for him is what's best. Whether that's in the pros, whether maybe go be Penn State's head coach. You know what he would do in Penn State? He'd probably go win national championships.
Because
he's a great recruiter.
It's one thing for a couple of morons like us to talk about it the morning after the latest embarrassing loss by the Steelers, 26-7 to the Buffalo Bills. It's another thing for a guy who won a Super Bowl with Mike Tomlin, who played for Mike Tomlin, who was the most important player on the team for years, a guy that Mike Tomlin stood behind when he went through some ugliness that kind of got forgotten.
Right.
And you're a jerk if you even mention it, but I'm a jerk, so it doesn't really bother me. Ben Roethlisberger coming out and saying what you and I talked about at length on Monday. I wrote something about it last night. And, you know, I watched all of Mike Tomlin's press conference yesterday.
Yeah, what are you thinking?
Something's like, I said this earlier in the year.
Right.
He doesn't seem bothered. He doesn't seem bothered. And all we can do is interpret what we see and what we hear, what we witness, what we absorb. And I thought about it as I wrote last night, just my take that it could benefit both sides to separate. And I've said this about other franchises. I've said it about the Vikings. Is good enough good enough? Is it enough to be competitive? Is it enough to be in the playoff chase? Is it enough to have the fans showing up through December, paying for parking, buying the overpriced stuff, merch, whatever, keeping the stadium full, and then we don't make it to the playoffs, or we do and we're one and done, and we load up and do it again, getting paid all the while. I mean, there's a comfortable rut that you can fall into when you put down that bag of obsession and torment. And I think that's what's happened in Pittsburgh. I think between the organization and the head coach, they recognize there's no reason to get yourself all twisted up and give yourself an ulcer and lose sleep and just be constantly worried about things you can't control. I know how to coach this team to a certain level. Beyond that, whatever happens, happens. I'm getting $16 million a year. I'm not going to stress myself out about it. It's a healthy outlook. Trust me. It's a lot better than making yourself crazy with every win or loss and allowing yourself to experience the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows, and every day is a roller coaster ride. I just feel like he's accepted this is how it goes. We play the season. We make it to the playoffs. If we advance, we advance. If we don't, we don't. And then we start all over again. And through it all, I'm getting paid a lot of money. And why am I upset with that? I just feel like that there's a contentedness.
I feel what
it.
you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I do understand that. Yes, I don't know what the phrase or how you can quite, put it to words as far as it feels. But yeah, it doesn't feel as intense or as angry, maybe as to what you're talking about. Now, like, just
Focus,
again,
like that, just like like a
yeah,
fan
there's a
would
little
be.
bit of intensity and anger maybe missing that we've seen from Mike Tomlin in the past, where he's just very short and curt and to the point, and you could tell he's bothered by the way his team's played. I hear you there, Mike. I get that. Now, he's getting up there in age, but this is where, I'll push back against you. Just the man that I know and him, right? He's one of those psychos we talk about all the time that lives it, loves it. It's never out of his mind. He's a psycho. That's why he's held on to that job for so long. Now, maybe it's a little different with this football team. It's hard to put your finger on it. But yeah, it's been a disappointing year to the point where probably with somebody like him, there's a little bit, even with him as a psycho, a little bit like, man. And I think he's got to be a little careful too because of some of the things they've done that you've alluded to so many times that are different from their DNA and their culture forever, to where there's some older guys. It's more of a veteran football team than ever there in Pittsburgh. And maybe he doesn't feel like he can talk that way and talk to them in the press conference in that way to this team. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but as we've talked about a lot, there's a magic missing in Pittsburgh right now. They've misevaluated their team. They've misevaluated the new guys they brought in, and it's not crazy to think that maybe it is time for both sides to go a different way, like we talked about Monday a little bit.
And when you say he's still a psycho, I think it's possible.
Right.
I don't know this. I'm trying to sound this out.
Yeah.
I think it's possible to be a psycho about the process, but not the outcome. Like, I love everything about the process. He was talking yesterday about how the schedule is awesome and this is a big week and it's the Ravens and this is an impactful game, and you can tell he's into it, but he's not going to live or die by the outcome. So I love everything about it. I'm getting my team ready, and his attitude and his approach is enough to get the team through it all. 6-6, 8-7, 9-8, 10-7, playoffs, and then after that, I love the process of getting ready for the playoffs, but when the season ends, I'm not going to slip into a dark place for 2 weeks. I'm not going to be inconsolable. You know, I'm just going to keep going because the checks keep coming. I just think that this may be a product of having the same job for 19 years. You may evolve to the point where you understand, you know what, this is pretty damn good. And I love football. I can coach football. I can get into it. I can go out there and impart every pearl of wisdom I've ever come up with. I can hatch new sayings on the fly that become T-shirts. I like this. And win or lose, I still like it. Win or lose, I still get to do it. And I'm not going to get caught up in the win or lose. I'm going to enjoy the ride. I'm going to enjoy the process. That may be a product of getting into your 50s, of having the same job for 19 years. And that may be the biggest reason why both sides need to change.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying there. Right now, I don't think he's the type that has those thoughts. Right, I've talked to him enough in off seasons and stuff like that to go, he's still chippy as hell, and he wants to be great, and he does take it home with him. Right, so I do think that aspect's there. But yeah, maybe getting old, maybe being beaten down by the Pittsburgh media and the fan base over and over has dulled his senses a little bit in how he takes work home or handles things on a day-to-day basis. Mike, I don't think
But he doesn't get beaten down by the media. He doesn't get beaten down by the media.
Right.
If you have a thick enough skin to deal with the 30% of the fan base that calls for you to be fired whenever you've lost 2 or 3 games in a row, that's it. That's all he's got to fend off. And if you win enough games to keep those folks in a corner, you're fine. The problem is those folks are starting to come out, and they're growing. And now they got to worry about it reaching a critical mass.
Well,
and
I think
Ben Roethlisberger, I think that's the significance. When Roethlisberger says it, it inches toward reaching a critical mass where they're going to have no choice but to make a change.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are seeing it this way, right? And yes, it holds more water when a guy like Ben Roethlisberger says it, who's one of the greatest quarterbacks of our time and one of the greatest quarterbacks of the Pittsburgh Steelers organization and the great history they've had. Yeah, but I think there's a lot of people that are in the same boat of what you're saying, what we said Monday, and looking at it going, hey, it was a great run, but, you know, the example we use is Andy Reid, right? It gets dull. It just both sides. It doesn't work anymore. You need a new message maybe for the organization. The coach needs a new challenge and something in that nature just to continue to drive himself and the team and everything there, and just a refresh button. I don't think that's crazy to think that's where we're at with Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin. We've kind of thought maybe the last few years we were at this, but now it seems a little bit worse than ever, I think, because of we're seeing the state of the team. And again, like we talked about, Aaron Rodgers didn't quite work out. DK Metcalf is not worked out all the way to what we thought, especially for $34 million a year. We're seeing there's huge deficiencies on their defense. It's a below average defense at every position except for pass rusher. So there's just so many issues there. And that's where you get to, is it time for Mike Tomlin to go find a new home and start over new? And the same for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I don't think that's crazy for us to talk about that right now.
He said before the season the defense can do historic things. And as we said Monday, don't think he meant give up the most rushing yards at home since O.J. Simpson and West Virginia great Jim Braxton combined for plus 300 yards in September of 1975. Not that kind of history. And it has been an embarrassment, and it's compounded by the fact that they behaved in a way they never have in the offseason.
Yeah.
Signing DK Metcalf after trading for him, signing a guy who'd never played for the team before to a contract that was market value. They've never, ever, ever done that until DK Metcalf. Waiting around for 2 months for Aaron Rodgers, while necessarily increasing the expectations as to what Rodgers would do, because if you're going to wait for 2 months for Aaron Rodgers, that means this guy, when he shows up, you're waiting for Prince Charming. You're not waiting for Don Quixote.
Yeah, let alone before that, they didn't plan properly to have another quarterback, and they were stuck where it was like either it's Rodgers or nothing. So they had no choice, right? I mean, so that was a mistake in itself as well. They kind of read the room the wrong way with Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. All of that. Yeah. Right.
They never wanted Russell Wilson. They lowballed Justin Fields because they said, not Mike Tomlin, but Art Rooney II said, between Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, we want to bring one of them back. They lowballed Justin Fields. He signs with the Jets, and Russell Wilson's name was never mentioned again. He's just let's just figure out something else here. And then back came Mason Rudolph, who, if Aaron Rodgers hadn't shown up, he would have been the Week 1 starter. I'm convinced of that. And there isn't much of a gap right now between Rodgers and Rudolph because Rodgers isn't the guy that won 4 MVPs.
Right,
he's still good enough to play, but he's not the guy that won 4 MVPs. So the whole thing is just, I hate to say unprecedented, but it kind of is
for this
combination
group
of factors.
And this team, right.
The combination of factors.
Yeah.
Look, I need to do the research. How many coaches have been with a team for 19 years? We got Bill Belichick. We got John Harbaugh 1 year behind Mike Tomlin. Don Shula, Tom Landry, 19 straight years. 19 years. I don't think Bud Grant was with the Vikings for 19 years.
No.
19 years. John Madden didn't come close to 19 years with the Raiders. 19 straight years.
Crazy.
Things change. People change. Circumstances change. Life changes. And at some point, you just got to say, do we need to change? Have we reached the end of this for both sides? Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.